All right, welcome to the Snide Report. I am your coughing host, Gary Snyder. Yes, recuperating from COVID, but hey, that doesn't stop me. It actually did, but I'm feeling a little better. My guest today, as you can see right next to me, is Hunter Collins. He is running for state rep here in Indiana, and if I was a better host, I would have figured out what district that is, but I'm sure he'll tell us here in a few minutes. Hunter, welcome to the Snide Report.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. And it's District 68 way.
Do you know why, you know how to know that it is the Snide Report, right? Because there's a big sign right there. And we need to thank our sponsor, Robin Winston, for help securing that nice sign so everyone knows who the hell they're talking to. So, Hunter, you are running for district. What district was that again? Because that's my attention span right now.
I get it. District 68.
So what made you decide to run for state rep in a super minority state, especially in rural Indiana, where apparently there's no Democrats, but maybe you and three others?
Well, I always love a challenge, that's for sure. Never one to back down from a challenge. I've been fighting one of the largest corporations in the world for the past 2 years. So, if
Really?
$20 million a year to bust a union won't stop me from that, the
Well,
Republican supermajority ain't going to stop me from this.
well, they're going to try. They're going
Absolutely.
to.
But really, what made me decide to run for this was my daughter. I have a 9-year-old little girl who is my world, and she's really my inspiration for running. Indiana's my home. It's where I, plan to spend the rest of my days. And I want to build a state that is set up in a good way for her when she's an adult, right? A state where she's able to prosper, where she has the opportunities that she deserves, and where every child in that state has the opportunities that they deserve. Um, I see what's happened with our state after the horrific Dobbs decision, implementing one of the worst abortion bans in the country. And, I care about my daughter having rights when she, as she grows up. So a combination of all those things, and then also continuing to fight for the working class is one thing. I grew up, my mom raised me and my two older brothers all by herself. I witnessed those struggles economically firsthand. And so I want to help a system that can lift people up instead of pushing them down like we have been for so long.
So take a second here and tell us who Hunter Collins is, because while your daughter may know you, maybe not a lot of other people will. So just tell us a little bit about yourself and who is Hunter Collins?
Yeah, so obviously I'm a father, husband. I've been married, getting ready to celebrate my 1 year anniversary to my beautiful wife in September. So very thankful for her for putting up with me. I'm also a labor organizer. I've been with the organizing Amazon for about 2 years now at their largest air hub in the world in northern Kentucky. I joined.
Hold on 1 second here. How's
Yeah,
that going? Because Amazon is notorious for trying to not let labor unions get into their shops.
it's brutal. I'm not gonna lie. It's Amazon's thrown everything they possibly can at us. They targeted me for a while, trying to get me fired, but they couldn't find an actual reason to fire me, so they've just kept me around. And yeah, they're brutal when it comes to union busting.
Okay.
That
I figured that's the answer that we were going to get, but go ahead. Tell us, keep telling us about yourself, and I will try not to interrupt anymore.
Oh, you're good. But yeah, so I've been fighting to organize a union at Amazon's largest air hub. 2 years now. We've made a ton of progress, won a ton of victories for the workers, some of the largest wage increases that Amazon workers have seen. We've won increased translation services for our immigrant coworkers, and we helped save over 800 jobs at our building when they were getting ready to fire all their seasonal employees. We managed to cause enough of a ruckus to get them to convert them to full time. So saved over 800 jobs through that, as well as a ton of other stuff, right?
Good job.
So we've done some really great work there. And that really, my passion for working for the working class and fighting for better wages, a better quality of life for regular folks. That's, really my time in that movement has amplified that tenfold. And that's what really a big part of this campaign is about. The biggest part of the campaign is about fighting for the working class of Indiana. Our tagline is progress for the people, not the powerful. So we're really heavily focused on economic issues that impact the vast majority of Hoosiers. And that's really where my passion lies, is making sure that the working class get a fair shot and that we can get back to that idea of the American dream that feels so far lost at this point.
Tell us real quick, where is the district? What makes up the district that you're running for?
Yeah, so our district is it's actually one of the more simple districts in the state. So we are all of Dearborn, Ohio, and Switzerland County. And then we do have just a little sliver of Jefferson County in there because,
Okay.
of course, the state is gerrymandered to all hell and probably will be even more so soon, unfortunately.
Just people ask, well, it can't get any more. Well, hold my beer.
Right, exactly.
I mean, because if they decide to go that route, I've seen some proposed maps and wow, it's gonna, Andre Carson's district would run all the way down to Cincinnati. I mean, it gets that crazy if they decide to do this. But as you just kicked off your campaign, what are you hearing from voters? What are you hearing when you go to the coffee shop? What are you hearing when you go to work? What are you hearing as the number 1, 2, or 3 issue that is facing Southern Indiana?
Yeah. So 3 main issues that we hear, right? Affordable housing or a lack thereof. A lot of concern about our public education. And then we also hear a lot of concerns about the cost of living and inflation and the, property taxes, things like that. Right. So when we talk to voters, that's how we've really built our platform out with this campaign, is through talking to folks, hearing what they have, what their concerns are, and building a policy platform based on that. And so we've heard from a ton of people in this district that, they're either years and years away from buying a house when they feel like they shouldn't be because, they're pushing 30, they have good paying jobs, but they just can't afford it. And it's, waiting for that, housing market crash or whatnot. But
yeah, good luck with that.
Right. Or, the rents being raised astronomically on folks.
It's insane.
Yeah.
It really is.
And then with our public education in Dearborn County, we've had 2 elementary schools closed in the past few years. And that has severely affected so many families in our community. We've seen, folks they have to work a lot harder just to get their kids to school now, because instead of their school being something local, now it's, they're having to drive their kids a farther distance, or, the bus schedule isn't working for them now because of their work and everything like that. So public education is a huge issue that people are focused on down here. And that's something that it hits close home to me. My wife works for a school, and she specifically does the state reporting for her school district. And that is how they get funding from the state. And she will tell anybody that asks her just how difficult it has gotten to get some of those funds, and just how much the funding cuts have affected them. The school district she works in, for instance, they no longer hire their SROs. That has been moved over to the city budget. So, and that's because of the funding cuts coming from the state.
Hey, Hunter, can you hold through a quick break?
Yeah, absolutely.
You're listening to the SnydeReport. I am Gary Snyder. All right, this is the part of the SnydeReport where we thank our sponsors, and we have a growing list. So let's start with Robin Winston. Robin has been there when we first sent out our first email, 147 subscribers. We're now over 108,000. So thank you, Robin Winston, and helping us get the podcast going in the right direction. Next up is our good friend, former Congresswoman Jill Long Thompson. Her book, Across the Aisle, Why Bipartisanship Works for America. Get that anywhere you buy your books. Also, former two-term governor, two-term U.S. Senator Evan Bayh. Evan has been a sponsor of the newsletter, now jumps on board with the podcast. Congressman Andre Carson. Congressman Carson has been there from the start. We're glad to have him over here on the newsletter now. He needs your help to win re-election next year. So make sure you support Congressman Carson. Next up, State Representative Cherish Pryor. Cherish has been there from the start on the newsletter, joining us on the podcast now. So is State Senator Greg Taylor. I want to thank Senator Taylor for all of his support through the years. Next, we have a couple of new sponsors. First up is Indiana Citizen. You want to check out their new project, One Heartbeat Away. Do Christian nationalists have an agenda for Indiana? You know, all you have to do is look at the lieutenant governorship and you can see right away that they do. So thank you, Indiana Citizen. Next up is Jump Laundry. You can visit them at jumplaundry.com. They have home pickup. They do your dry cleaning, wash and fold with, I might add, no judgments, and next day service. So if you're in a crunch for time, you don't want to do your own laundry, get a hold of Jump Laundry at jumplaundry.com or at 317-740-5011, and they will take care of all of your laundry needs. Welcome back to the Snide Report. I am your host, Gary Snyder. Today we are speaking with Hunter Collins. He's running for state representative in Southern Indiana. Hunter, just before break, you were telling us a little bit about some of the issues that you care about and that you've been hearing about voters and what they care about. How do you get enough voters to care? Because when we look at Indiana, we're a super minority. They voted statewide for Trump three times. We have some of the worst human beings possible in state elected office, and yet they're consistently wrong. They consistently throw the middle class under the bus for their billionaire friends and donors. How do you get them to care? How do you get them to say, I'm done with MAGA. I'm done with the bullshit crazy. It's time to get someone sensible like Hunter Collins in here.
Yeah. Well, it's something where you have to look at why people went for Donald Trump, right? Mm-hmm. And a big aspect of it is this disdain for status quo. It's a disdain for what they had been actually feeling in their day-to-day lives. Right? Prices going up, things are getting less affordable. People aren't able to buy houses as easy. Schools are, not what they want them to be. And so it's been this disdain for the status quo. Our focus in this campaign has been to show people that we are breaking that status quo because we're leading with bold policies. And we're giving people a choice, saying, listen, you finally do have a choice. You can choose to stay behind in the old divisive politics that doesn't do anything for you, or you can choose something better. And that's kind of our pitch for this campaign, is when we're running on things like universal pre-K, building over 100,000 permanently affordable housing units across the state, fully funding our public schools, including including special education, and lowering the cost of living through things like lowering our gas tax here in Indiana. Those are issues that connect with voters because those are issues that directly affect them. I had a conversation with a gentleman who, had a Trump flag in his yard, and he really didn't want to give me the time of day, but I convinced him to give me a few moments of his time.
And I'll add, there are a lot fewer of those that I'm seeing because I live in rural Indiana too. And
yeah,
there are a lot fewer compounds flying those flags than there used to be.
Absolutely.
But go ahead. I apologize.
Yeah. So, he didn't really want to give me the time of day, convinced him to talk to me. And, his big concern was housing. He's like, I've got a 26-year-old kid who lives at home with me. Mm-hmm. He's trying to save up to buy a house. And that's why he's living with me instead of renting an apartment. And even with him living with me, it is still Like, you cannot find a house that's affordable. And, that's where we have a conversation with, well, yeah, you're right. Why is it that when these new single family housing developments go up, there are always these super big luxury houses and never starter homes? Why is it that there's not support for first time home buyers the way that there should be in this state? And those are things that we can change at a state government level. So, might whether that changed his heart or mind to, actually vote for a Democrat on the ticket, who knows yet? But maybe through some more conversations with him and folks around him, we'll change those hearts and minds. But we have to show people that Democrats aren't what they think they are, and that we aren't what the media has portrayed us out to be. And I do that through meeting people where they are and talking to them just like normal people, right?
Mm-hmm.
Letting them know, yeah, it's bullshit that we're getting taxed all this money, we're paying so much in gas, but our roads still look the way that they do. And
no, we're number one in road quality. That just came.
Yeah. Because I totally believe that article. I totally believe that study.
I had Kentucky governor and probably presidential candidate Andy Beshear on a couple months ago. And he said that we have to start talking to voters like we're one of them, instead of like a college professor talking to his students. It's not food insecurity. People are going hungry. And he went down the line. Yeah. Do you find that to be the case when you're out talking to people?
Absolutely. One of the best responses from like a speech that I gave was a speech where I did not write an outline. I knew what I thought through what I wanted to say, but I just spoke. And I spoke from the heart, and I spoke on the issues that matter to all of us. And I had some very hardcore MAGA Republicans say that they loved what I had to say. That's where, the old way of this very manicured way of speech, it doesn't work. It doesn't connect. I think that's one reason why Trump got as big as he has, is because he spoke like a lot of people speak. He didn't have that very clear, college professor like speech pattern that so many, folks in the Democratic Party have. And so that's, something I always try to remember when I talk about it, when I talk to folks, is that this campaign isn't about me. It's not about my opponent even. It's about them. So I want to talk to them and hear what they have to say. And I want to listen first. And I want to, treat them just like I would want to be treated by, someone that wants my vote. And that's just like a normal human being.
How do you stay on message? Because a lot of times in Indiana, and I'm a two-time candidate. I ran for state senate and I ran for Congress. How do you stay on message? Because a lot of times Republicans will try to drag you down the, I don't know, culture wars and get you off your message. Because if your message is exactly what is happening today, rent's too high, insurance is too high, people have to decide whether they want to get their prescriptions or eat. How do I afford an education? How do I afford a home? Things like that. And then you're defending, well, I don't know, maybe, gays shouldn't be allowed to marry or something like that. They will try to drag you down that culture war rabbit hole. How do you, and I don't know if it's happened to you yet. If it hasn't, it will. How do you stay focused on your affordability and economic message when they're trying to drag you off in several different ways? That's if they even acknowledge you exist, because chances are they won't even acknowledge they have an opponent.
Yeah. Well, actually, to kind of go off of that, my opponent just the other day sent out a mailer touting all the wonderful things that he did this past legislative session. And the 4 main bullet points were stopping DEI, preventing men from playing in women's sports, illegal immigration, and I can't remember what the last one was actually. But they were all things that do not affect our everyday life.
No.
Right. The fourth one was defending the Second Amendment, like that's ever been even remotely in question in Indiana.
Right.
Like I mean, so the way that I look at it is, and the way that what I tell folks is, he's focused on issues that do not make your life better. He's focused on stuff that does not affect you. Trans people are 1% of the population, and they are children of God, just like me and you. So why is he focused on beating them down? I'm focused on lifting all of us up, on making a better Indiana. I'm focused on creating jobs, building a better quality of life, and making sure that our kids get the opportunities that not only they need, but that they deserve. And I turn it back around on them. Why are you spending all this time focused on things that aren't affecting people in District 68?
Yeah, it helps. It doesn't help one iota in paying the rent or getting that prescription.
Exactly. And that's what people care about. They care about, hey, my parents are getting older and there's not enough senior housing. What are we going to do? Well, Garrett Bascom, what are you going to do about that? You haven't done anything. You haven't even proposed anything be done about it. And that's, we have to, I believe in addressing the lies straightforward, in a very straightforward manner. I believe in speaking, to the truth of the matter, which is these culture war issues are not affecting the vast majority of Hoosiers. And that is, if we want to win and if we want to protect our trans Hoosiers and we want to protect our LGBTQ Hoosiers and all of our marginalized communities, we have to win. And the way that we win is the way that Democrats all across the country are winning, which is by focusing on working class issues.
Yeah, it's I've interviewed several people now. Joe Walsh, former congressman, Tom McDermott, the mayor up in Hammond, and most recently Beto O'Rourke. Excuse me, Beto O'Rourke. My sister will yell at me. And each one of them, to a person, said the same thing that I've been preaching. Do you want to be right, or do you want to win?
Right. And once we win, we can be right all the time.
Exactly.
Once we win, we can be right all the time.
Because their sole purpose is power. And until we realize that should be our sole purpose, we're going to keep being a super minority and being lumped in with East and West Coast Democrats.
Well, and the way that, I do look to Governor Beshear, with a lot of admiration for the way that he is, a very successful and very popular two-time Democratic governor in Kentucky. That's where I was born. That's where I was born, and I was raised in a small town in Kentucky. I know what it's like over there. And so, you look at what...
Way beyond the wall.
Done. Right.
I know what it's like over there.
Yeah, you look at what it's, at what Andy Beshear has done, and it's connecting with folks where they are and speaking to them in a way that is clear, concise, and isn't overly preachy, but being firm on all of his stances. He's still one of the most popular Democratic governors in the country. And I think he'd be a good president. Yeah, and he openly vetoed a horrendous bill that attacked trans youth. And he proudly vetoed that. And he's still as popular as he is. And I think that speaks volumes.
Hunter, we're running out of time. Anything else you want to discuss that maybe I did not ask you?
I think we pretty much covered the majority of kind of the base points. If anyone wants any more information on our campaign, they can go to huntercollins.org.
That was my next question.
Yep. And if you like what we are fighting for, you can donate to our campaign by going to supporthuntercollins.com. That'll allow you to donate to our cause. And I look forward to getting out here, meeting with more folks. And
all those links are on the SnydeReport newsletter, which proudly goes out to about 110,000 people daily. So just look for his smiling face on there. You can click on it and it'll take you anywhere you want to go to find out more, donate any of that stuff. Hunter Collins, thank you.
Thank you so much for having me.
I am Gary Snyder. He is not. He is Hunter Collins. This is the Snide Report, and we are out.